Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Behind the Veil. It is great to have you all back with us. Today, we're going to be talking about style. You know, COVID made a lot of changes in our lives when it comes to weddings, and we basically missed out on a full year of innovation and style. And so today we have an incredible guest that's going to be talking about this, and which I'll introduce shortly. But first, let me introduce our Behind the Veil crew. Marcy Gutenberg with An Affair to Remember by Marcy. Hi, Marcy.
Hi, Keith.
Welcome back. And then, of course, the always gorgeous Brooke Logan Stoner. Hi, Brooke.
Hello, everyone.
So I don't want to get this name wrong because, Heather Rouffe, right? Did I get that right? Heather Rouffe is a partner and a director of sales with Atlas Party Rental, an incredible rental shop here in South Florida, and they have multiple locations. I mean, literally everything from Miami, Palm Beach, Martin County, which I was surprised at. And I know Heather personally. She has been part of our South Florida community for a really long time, and she has her fingertips on what is coolest, newest, next that is happening. So Heather, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so when I was reading your bio, I saw that you are also doing educating with a whole bunch of different locations. I mean, BizBash, Inside Weddings, Catersource, Allseated, Style Me Pretty. Wow.
Yeah, you know, I say over the years, it's been so interesting to see the event rental world change and more females coming into it. And it's exciting. You know, you never sometimes think that you could help all the other people. You kind of sit here in your own bubble and do your daily grind all these years. Right. And over the last few years, it's been really exciting just being able to connect with people that find you on Instagram and social media, and people that you meet at shows and they realize how successful Atlas is and that you've been a part of it. And it's just really inspiring and exciting to be able to reach out and know that you're helping people from staffing and training to showroom design, you name it.
Yeah. Well, and you know, the thing is that I think a lot of people forget, because we're just so used to being able to call you for everything, that we forget that there is real work happening behind the scenes to make sure that you're consistently on the edge of trends. And so, you know, I'm sure that what happened over the last year has had to have made massive changes, you know, as far as like what you had to do to survive during COVID. Can you tell us a little bit about like what that was like over the last year and where you are now position wise?
Yeah. So, you know, I always try to put a positive spin on it, right? We can't change what happens. We're all still here. We survived it, which is great. So something that we did, we really tried to build our brand even stronger than what it already was. So during COVID, knowing that a lot of people were home, a lot of people were working remote, we really tried to build our technological part of our company. So building our Instagram. We got more new Instagram followers during COVID than we did pre-COVID, which was really exciting. So a lot of new clients found us. They had time to search online. You know, we were very present. So when people were trying to find a company to do their events, we were there. They knew we would deliver. We answered our phones. We always made sure that 24/7 we were still there for people, whether it was a question that they had of our protocols or a small event that they were having, you know, during the time of COVID, and how we were, you know, how that looked, whether it was planning for a year and how is that going to look. I mean, we all had brides and mitzvah moms and you name it, however it looked, you know, just going through all the changes of not knowing what will events look like. And we were getting all types of calls, all types of inquiries. We built a page on our website called Looks We Love. It was something we've been talking about doing. COVID gave us a chance to spend time and update our website and create a new tool for people, allowed us to pivot to do more virtual appointments. So, you know, you have to look at the positive side of things and what did you get done that maybe you normally don't have time to do in the daily grind. And, you know, hopefully it'll pay off come season. I know it's already picking up and, you know, no one wants to relive it again, but you know, again, we have to look at the positive and what we got out of it. And we've really, really, really been able to communicate with our community, which is something we always do anyway, but this allowed us to do it even more.
Well, the interesting thing is that even I did the same thing. I mean, I got really into the PR because all of a sudden I had time to write articles. I had time to answer, the questions from different reporters across the way. And it was great because then obviously now I have a whole, file full of different publications. So it sounds like you guys did the same thing. But did COVID stunt kind of innovation when it comes to rentals and new chairs, new linen, new styles? Did you find that all of a sudden you could just literally slice out 2020 and then place them back together? Because that's how it feels in my business. It's like I almost feel like a whole year just got pulled out, boop, and now we're back to being normal.
So, I mean, yeah, you definitely lost a year and you wonder what, I know a lot of companies had items that were due to come in, and then obviously whether companies weren't shipping or financially, we didn't have the funds to bring it in. So on both ends, from, the designers and the fabric wholesalers, there was a halting on their end of what was available. And then from the supplier side, like us, we were limited of what we could bring in during that time. But, I have to say, I think we could all agree that a lot of times on social media, right, we all post certain events where we start seeing all of the same products, the same new trendy products. And during COVID, it's actually allowed us to bring back what's old is new again. And it's allowed us to show things that maybe were sitting on the shelf that clients had never used. A new client who wasn't aware of our availability, we were able to really show them how to work with inventory that's sitting on not only our shelf, but other vendors. We always like to work with other companies, whether they're bringing in a chair from someone else or a glass. We all have to work together to create the ultimate design for the client. Right. And there's plenty of product that we're all sitting on all the time. And I think that's the biggest challenge of rental companies, is how to turn some of the older stuff instead of buying the new stuff. So that part has kind of been exciting. So people are like, I never knew you had that. And I'm like, we've had it for 8 years. And they had no idea because they didn't have the time to sit on our website, right? Like we were talking about, no one had the time to do any of this. So it's really allowed people to learn what we carry and what we have. And they're telling us that it's really going to be an advantage when events start booming again, that they know what we have and they'll be able to diversify their inventory and their clients' looks.
Well, and a lot of times because, when we're really busy, we have very little time to be able to be super creative using materials that we might already have in new and interesting ways. So I love the fact that you guys didn't sit on your ass during the last year, that you actually were like, we're creative people. We want to still play, and we're going to play with all our bare little puzzle pieces, and we're going to come up with all sorts of new designs. Because one thing, and we talked about this a little bit beforehand, brides have a really hard time conceptualizing their vision. Many times they come to us and they have kind of a general idea of an overall, like, I want it bright and shiny. Okay, well, what does that mean to you? So now that
but natural.
Yeah, smoky. Oh yeah, I love that. Smoky but natural. So walk me through the process, because part of one of your bio was talking about being able to draw out their vision and style. So if somebody comes to you, we have a bride that comes in, she has really no real idea except she may have a color palette. Where do you start with her or with them to pull out that, what's going to make their event shine?
Yeah, so I think sometimes people forget how important rentals are. It's so easy to say, I'm going to use what the hotel has, or I'm going to use what the caterer has. And of course, that's all great. But then at the end, when I start talking to them and saying, what do you really want, right? What's your vision? They always go and show me a picture, whether it's from Pinterest or their friend's wedding or a magazine, something that they truly love. And I think the hardest part is just, can I afford it and will it work within my budget? So that's where we come in to say, let's give you the biggest bang for your buck. We started a few things. So during COVID, we started a Looks We Love page, which has been phenomenal. I am getting calls from all over the United States of how did we design it? Can they copy it? And it's a great first place for a bride to go look and say, you know what? I love this. Because at the end of the day, even though we think they don't know what they want, or they say they don't know, they know what they don't like. Or they see something visually and they say, I don't like this, but I love this. So we try to start there, but of course, if they're willing to come in, and now with more people comfortable going out and visiting our showrooms, We have 3 showrooms that we highly encourage clients to come in because everything is here. We have a beautiful showroom where they could play. And that's what we tell them they need to do. They need to come in and play because they don't even realize, right? Before you start planning a wedding, you don't even realize that you could have a pink goblet or you could rent, crazy napkins. So we really want them to come in and see, touch, and feel. The minute they come in, we got them. We know what they like because it's like a piece of clothing, right? Do you like this? No. Do you like this or this? Oh, I love this. Great. Let's set this on the table. So even though they think they don't know, they know what they like, right? Like I'm sure you see it with flowers. And I mean, it's so easy to say, I don't know. But once they see it, they know. So we always try to bring all of our couples into one of our showrooms. Again, if they can't come in, just even virtually. But it's been amazing, even virtually. I mean, you put 2 plates on a linen and they know what they like. I mean, we've planned all of these weddings with brides who will probably never see the items until they walk in on their wedding day, but they love it. They see it. They take pictures. We FaceTime with them. So seeing it and just listening to what they're saying, the words they're using, watching their expression, right? Like, I mean, when they see something they love, when they see that sparkly linen or that charger they love, you could kind of see their face light up, their eyes widen a little bit. They turn around to whoever's with them and they're like, I really love that, or oh my God, look at this. And our job is that before they leave here, they love what they chose. It's to show them everything, even if they don't like it, we show it to them so they see what they don't like. Because again, when they don't like something, they definitely see what they do love. So visiting our showrooms are so important. And we find when they do, they always leave with knowing the look they want, the vision, and there's nothing more exciting to them than them leaving and saying, wow, I know what my room is going to look like on the day of my wedding.
So do you feel like COVID helped in this process of, I'm getting a little feedback, by the way. Did it help in the process because before we didn't do a lot of Zooming. We didn't do a lot of FaceTime to really get, we were used to meeting in person. And so, one thing I have to say about COVID is that it really taught us how to use technology to our advantage. And so, but I also always I'm a little cautious because when you just do 2 plates, a lot of people don't realize what an effect that will have when you multiply it by 100 or by 200. And so I guess they go off of your guidance for that because, a small batch of color on 2 plates versus 100 plates is a big difference. And all of a sudden it becomes a huge element in the room itself. So I'm assuming you help them guide with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a level of trust like anything, right? When they choose a vendor, it's all who they trust and it's seeing the pictures on Instagram and all the different inspiration out there. And yeah, we do our best to say, what do your florals look like? And we even offer to have their florists come and do a sample in our showroom. I mean, we will set an 8 to 10 piece place setting if they want to see it. But I have to say most are totally fine with the 1 piece. They love it. They, we try to help them envision. They show us pictures of their florals, of their invites, their place cards. They describe their look. And it's our job as the professionals to work with them and their vision and the venue and just know what will work. That whether the 1 pink plate, if they're concerned, will this be too pink or will, I don't want it. I don't want my fiance to freak out because they're walking into all pink or all green. And it's our job to balance that and say, what, it's going to be very pink, but let me show you a way to make it a a bit more subtle.
My colors are blush and bashful.
Blush and bashful. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Hello, Stanley.
Not fantastic at all.
So, so earlier in the conversation, you were talking about the fact that now people are, looking at rentals instead of being the last thing that they're looking at. They're now starting to look at it as the first thing because we're all experiencing it here in South Florida is that there's just been this huge boom of wedding volume. And there are so many vendors that are just not available because they've already been booked by other people. So now, instead of being the last thought, you're the first thought. So how has that changed how you process stuff? Because now you get to deal with the bride for a full year. And
So we were joking about that. So some of that's the only downfall. But no, most of them, are really great. And, we try to teach them, don't keep teetering from your design because it's going to be busy and try to lock in what you want and the style. But I think what COVID has done, it's brought back all of that home entertaining. So when you have an event at a venue that provides everything, a lot of times they might not think of the charger or, maybe the chair, maybe the venue provides the chair, but you don't think about the cushion color. Well, what COVID has done, it's forced people to have to bring in everything from the table, the chairs, because at your home, you don't own anything. So it's actually been so exciting for us that I almost feel like rentals and our side of it has been like reinvented, because it used to be like, what? There's a rental company? People will walk in here and think they're just walking into a warehouse, an old dingy warehouse of tables and chairs, but they walk in and people are producing the most amazing, weddings and dinner parties and mitzvahs in their homes with all of our stuff, where it used to be sometimes just a small component of it. So that part has been really nice, and hopefully that stays, where people are seeing like how all the different elements can really have such an amazing impact, even if you just get the one charger or just the one goblet of, you don't have to go crazy on every single thing, but how one rental item can make such a huge design impact on, to your table.
And I think that a lot of people, oh gosh, really massive feedback just then. Sorry about that. One of the things I really feel like that happened is that, when we talked about, I'm just going to use what the hotel has, the hotel doesn't have a lot. I mean, they're going to have a basic white linen, a basic white, a basic chair, and it takes very little. And I think that's a big misconception when it comes into the rental world, is that people are going to blow their budget going to a rental, and that's just not the case. And many times, you can decrease what the floral component is going to be by upping the linen, upping the the glassware, upping the plateware. It's incredible to be able to balance those two. And now that people have had a year to dream, I feel like that's actually helped the industry in so many ways, because again, you were talking about the Pinterest, about the page that says, this is my dream. Here's my designer dream, page to take a look at, and look at all the possibilities that are out there.
Well, and that's what I always say. It's my job to spend their money wisely, right? Obviously we love when a couple comes in and says, I want this, 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 and some venues require it, but it's our job to listen to what's important to them and educate them about where to spend their money. I'm not going to sell you on a napkin ring if you're already at your budget and it's really not going to add any design factor, right? So it's our job, and it's your job as an event rental consultant to work with the client and really spread their money of where the biggest bang for their buck goes. And I think that's been the most exciting part to show people, especially this last year when they're doing events at home. Look at how this one linen popped in the picture. Look at how this one chair, right? You use the basic white linen, but look at, by upgrading this chair or switching your chair color from white to natural, how beautiful that looked and how different. And the one goblet, or, spend the money on a charger, but use the venue's white plates. By the time people have had a few drinks, a cocktail hour, and they sit down, no one's going to know the plate that the filet is on, right? Yeah. But when people first come in, it's that initial presentation that they're wowed by. That's what your photographer is going to get. That's what all your friends are taking pictures of and posting on Instagram. So it's really our job to work with not only the couples, but also the designers of, here's my couple's budget, or this is what I have for rentals. What can you give me? What can we use that's really going to make an impact?
So we had a psychologist or a psychologist on it at one point asking about, like, how long does it take for people to make an impression? Like, what is the time that people make their judgment on a room? And it's 1/10 of 1 second is how much time you have to make an impression on somebody when they walk into a room. No pressure at all. 1/10 of 1 second is a snap. You open the doors and people immediately go, I like it or I hate it. It's that quick. Wow. And
and it's just getting that reaction of like, oh my God, gorgeous or stunning. It's those words that are used for these different designs versus just seeing the everyday cookie cutter.
Well, so what is your number one rental? Is there a one thing that people tend to gravitate towards? Because is it chairs? Is it plateware? I remember when Shivari chairs, everybody wanted to do Shivari chairs. And now that's kind of like We don't want to do Chivari chairs anymore. We want to do
If I
something.
see one more
Yeah,
chair.
I know. If I see one more Chivari chair, oh my God. Anyway, but I mean, and it's still a good standby, FYI, for those that may be considering a Chivari chair, because it really will up a space really quickly when it's appropriate. But what is your number one rental?
So tables and chairs are still our number one. It's our number one, what goes out the door. It's our number one Google search, the good old bread and butter. But over the last few years, the tabletop has skyrocketed. Same with linens. I think, linens have come and gone because now there's so many linenless table options, which we're going to carry more in the fall. But tabletop has really, really, really grown. I think people are really appreciating more how unique the tabletop is out there and what, how much it could really change. But tables and chairs are still our good, true, and tried number one.
Gotta love that. Okay, so if I'm going to go back to the design aspect of it again, because it's actually one of the hardest parts of my job is figuring out what the client is actually going to really like. And so I love the idea that they have Pinterest boards and stuff. And many times, what we start with and what we end up with are two totally different visions. And so I find that if you have a year to play with a bride, I mean, that could spell some serious trouble. Just saying.
Well, so I always say, so it's funny you say that because you would think that, I would say 80-90% of our brides don't teeter, right? They don't change. And the ones that do and come in for 100 visits and go from purple to pink to yellow to red to gold, they always go back to their initial one. Always, 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 always. They don't want to listen to me to say, always go with your first, but it never, ever, ever fails. They go back. So I always say to my couples, I'm like, just trust your gut. I think it's so easy because there's so much out there to want to know, am I missing out on something, right? Like, wait a minute, if I use the purple, if I use the pink, if I use the green, but they always go back to their number one. And I think, I'm so happy you just said what you said, because I think people don't use their rental salespeople enough. I think so many times, again, we're kind of left at the end where, oh, by the way, I need 10-132 silver Dupioni linens with a white napkin, right? And maybe the bride never even came in. They don't even know what's out there. So I try to educate all my planners, the venues, let me do the work, right? This is why I'm here. I'll take that off of your plate. I'm not trying to be their planner, but I will help you with the rentals. Come in with them, whatever you want me to do. I'm going to meet you at the venue with the items, but I know our products, right? Like you have enough on your plate. You're trying to figure everything out, but use us as a tool, because with all the other vendors, brides go and meet with florists, they meet with DJs, but for some reason, there's been this block towards the client and the rental companies. The last year, we've been seeing more of it because I think whether people are uncomfortable going out in groups or they're not going out or whatever the reason may be, but use me, use our staff, use our showrooms. We know what we have. We know what works. We know what's coming in. We know what costs more to launder and not, right? So the more you use our inventory, you know what? I only have $35 for a linen. Well, instead of thinking that you only have 5 linens, no. I'll tell you the 30 linens that you could use. Or the bride really wants a more expensive napkin. I'll tell you what it pairs well with. You don't know my entire inventory. I know my inventory. So use us, use your rental company, use our sources, use our showroom. My guys will deliver you samples. We'll send you swatches. But I think we have so much to offer, and sometimes people either forget it or they're just not educated to realize what we do. We're not just answering phones and saying, here's a linen. But no, we do our own design, and we're here to help you and your couples create those beautiful wow rooms.
So, I feel like the reason, and I'm going to speak from a personal point of view when it comes to as an event planner, I feel like what happens when people start thinking about rental companies is they feel like that's a budget buster. That's an extravagance outside of the 3 big, which is florals, photography, entertainment. That typically it's hotel, photography, and the big 4 anyway. But, and then they think of the rentals as a secondary piece, and we should only do that if absolutely necessary and if the hotel doesn't happen to have it. And I think there's a secondary piece in here is that so many hotels have gotten into a position of providing chairs or an upgraded linen, but they don't realize that that upgrade is coming from you.
Well, right. And that's why,
right?
Right. And that's why I say, work with us because, I always give people the analogy. I mean, if you go to a gala, right, and you spend all these hours finding the perfect gown, are you not worrying about the accessories? Are you not worrying about the shoes? So to me, it's like spending all this money and time on your flowers, but then, well, what linen are you putting that on? What charger are you using? And all of the hotels, I think, hopefully this will change with maybe some of the staffing at hotels and the education, is we have gotten into that where I'm just getting it from my hotel. Well, what are they providing? I don't know, basic white. And I'll help them by saying, well, why don't you ask them? Because usually whether it's white, ivory, maize, yellow, blue, it's usually the same price. So have you asked them? And they're like, well, it wasn't offered to me. Well, here I am giving you a little tidbit of saying, well, ask, right? If you don't ask, you don't get. And I think venues need to get into the habit again of utilizing us. What can I give them? This is what I want to price my rentals out. What can you offer me? So all of their weddings don't look cookie cutter, right? Because they don't want the same look. They don't want to offer the same white linen and the same chair. So offer your brides everything that I offer. And I'm here to help you and your client. I'm not looking to take them away from you. They could still go through you, but allow them to come into our showroom and still choose what they want and know there's an option, instead of just giving them the basic all of the time and just putting it in a package, so-called. I think we have to get away from package. Is your wedding really a package? No, it's your own special day with your own look. And that's what we're trying to educate, is that you could have a tropical look, a modern look, a shabby chic look, using so many different elements that the venue, the caterer might not have.
Well, and I think that's the big part here, is that we get into such a rut as professionals in this world to try to make it as easy and as simple of a process for our clients that, there's almost a fear that bringing in another person is going to complicate it even more so. And I think actually it's a reverse. I feel like it provides more clarity and gives our clients a better sense of what their vision is actually going to be. And hotels, being from the hotel side of it also, hotels are also always so fearful of somebody else taking some of their dollars, like, oh, we included that upgrade in the linen because we're going to get $4 off of each linen or $10 off of each chair.
A good old piggy bank gal.
Yeah, exactly. And they're making that extra money. And I think it's an unfortunate circumstance that we've gotten into, and that the client actually could probably get a much better idea of their budget overall if they didn't go through the hotel for the upgrades and relied on rental companies and going directly to them, because they're not having to pay that middleman fee.
And we work, I always say we're such an honest company that, if a planner or a florist is sending in a couple, and again, I don't care who I'm working with. I'd rather work with the planner, the florist. I'd rather work with the hotel, but of course we work with the end user. But we ask the caterer. If a caterer sends us in, we work with the most high-end caterers that send the clients in, and they have a very clear understanding of, we will bill your caterer. You're here just to design your look. We're not going to give you prices. And there's no reason that everyone shouldn't have the same mentality. We're not here to steal a client. And in fact, if you would see the reactions when the couples are in here saying, I'm so happy there's options. I'm so happy I came. I'm so excited. I can't wait to see it on the wedding day. It's such a huge part of the design of your special day that it's hurting them by just saying, well, we provide you with white and ivory to the floor and this chair and this white cushion. Just by changing out a cushion changes your whole look.
Basics not going to get you that far in this competition, darling.
No.
Heather, I got to be rude and interrupt Keith. Heather, I feel like we need to talk. Heather, let's talk.
Go ahead, talk.
So this is something I battle with Keith all the time, because I feel like it's his job to talk people out of techie. Okay? So when you have a client that choose avocado green and harvest gold, per se, those are 70s and 80s appliance colors that I didn't like back then. Why are you trying to put that on your wedding now and your bridesmaids? How do you go about talking them out of disastrous colors and just awful decisions?
That's a really good question. Yeah.
And do you think
So-
it's Keith's job to talk them out of that? Because I certainly do.
Oh, you know me. I would immediately go, "What? No, you're not doing that. No, unless we're
Lies.
doing bell bottoms and velvet. I'm not going to let you make that mistake." But
Let's
you know,
see what Heather has to say.
no. But honestly, I'm going to tell you right now. There is something to be said about harvest gold and emerald and that green. I'm just saying because
Avocado is very popular now.
very popular. So I'm like, as she was saying it, I was like, well, I could actually see that.
No,
Very
I mean, I think what
70s.
we try to do is I say, you're going to have these pictures forever and don't get stuck in what's trendy, right? Like, and it's our job again to incorporate, okay, you love avocado. Do you really want to see that when you're coming in? Let's just use it on your cake table. Let's use it in cocktail hour. Let's use it on your place card. So again, the design aspect, us knowing the venues and working with the planners ahead of time on their vision. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, if they want avocado and they're willing to pay me $50 for an avocado linen, here's your avocado. Like, there's only so much I could stop you, but It's our job to balance it and, make sure that they see all options. And some of us are more pushy than others. I mean, I'm pretty direct of showing people what I think design wise, even if you want to use an avocado linen, let me show you a more classic plate. Let me show you this. But right, I mean, at the end of the day, they're going to choose what they want to choose. But I think, we could all agree that we try to, show them something that they won't regret looking at their pictures 5 years, 10 years and say, oh my goodness, this color. So there is something to be said about the classic colors. And see, and I'm so glad you brought that up, right? So if you go to a venue and say, I want an avocado linen, most likely they're going to say, I don't have it. Now, this couple might find the most awful way to incorporate avocado when they could just come to the rental company and choose a beautiful avocado napkin or choose a beautiful, green water goblet, right? So it's also, I think that's where knowing those options because they don't know. They think they want a green linen because their favorite color is green. Well, no, did you know that there's a green charger? Did you know there's a green side plate? Look how we could bring in the green plate into your cake. So it's, again, that education and them knowing what their options are. Because if they're not brought to a rental company or, they find our website, they might truly think the only way you're bringing an avocado is in their linens.
Because I'm like, well, let's put green avocado contacts on the cap.
Well, the other thing that I really find in this industry, though, is that especially as event planners, and I see this in other event planners, and they don't want to look like they don't understand it or don't know it. So I feel like they don't allow other people to show their brilliance because they're not the first person to say it, or the stylist. And I tell my clients all the time, my job is not to give you my perfect wedding. My job is to give you your perfect wedding, and my specialty is logistics. I have people that I rely on for the design aspect. That's why we go to a florist for the flowers. That's why we go to because I'm not a musician. I'm not a florist. I'm not a designer. I know how they fit together, and I know logistically what to do to make sure that the event runs well, but I never shy away from allowing other people to show their brilliance. And I think that's another part of our industry that needs development.
And I fully agree. And it's so good you brought that up because everyone wants to be the superhero, right? I mean, there's so many times I work with planners in the showroom and they don't even let their clients speak. And I'm thinking, well, what do they really want? I mean, I know as a planner, you want to have a beautiful picture, but I mean, this couple, it's their wedding, it's their personality. And that's why too, I really do believe during COVID, it brought all of us together, on social media, on, weeding out certain people, keeping some of the strong people together. And I'm hoping that stays because the first thing that I do is I will call their florist to say, what are you using? What do you think would complement their centerpiece? Because if they've already spent 3 hours with the florist, I'm not here to, like you said, take away. I don't know about flowers. I can't even keep a flower alive. I mean, I wouldn't even know what you're using. So I'm here just to ask them, what direction do you think we should go in? And with their input, and then with my input, it just ups their trust level in you as a designer, right? Like I've spoken to your florist. They think that going with a cream or a mocha expo with a more natural charger would really enhance your centerpiece. And once they hear, you know, that you're confident in what you're selling them, that you've worked with their other vendors, I mean, it just benefits the clients at the end, instead of everyone fighting against each other, trying to say, I think this will work. Oh, wait, but my designer says this. Oh, well, I disagree. I mean, no. Like, we are all here for, you know, one reason, and we all have to learn to work together more.
Well, you know, our job is to provide the best wedding possible for the client. And again, I'm not an expert in all things. I can't be an expert all things. I can tell you what a contract price, you know, how a contract should be formulated to make sure that it protects both you and the vendor. I can tell you, you know, logistically again, but why do I need to be all things to all people? And I've learned that bringing in experts like you actually only enhances my aesthetic. Like when you associate yourself with other experts that are incredible at what they do, it doesn't bring you down. If anything, it raises you up.
Yeah.
And vice versa. I mean, when you come in as a planner who's done multiple events at one venue that I've never been to, or I've only been to once, you know how many cocktail tables, you know what looks good in what area, you know what color pops in photos. And so, yes, I mean, I think this whole working against each other and with each other, hopefully will change a little bit. I think that'll be a really nice shift for not only each of us, but only, will benefit our clients.
So I'm hoping that, if COVID did anything, it brought our community closer together, because we realized how precious life is, and how quickly things can change. And I'm going to bring up actually something personal, and I'm not going to put anybody on the spot, but, you mentioned earlier that, you would invoice the catering company, or you would invoice and that you wouldn't share prices. One of the reasons that I actually feel like I'm being super successful at the moment is because I don't hide any of those numbers. I don't take any kickbacks. I don't, get the percentage off the back end, because I feel like my clients have paid me enough money to be their advocate. And if I get a discount, I'm going to give it, pass it on to them. I feel like, being straightforward and honest in all of those sections, and them getting to see all the invoices and what it actually cost, actually adds to the whole of feeling confident with your planner. But that's a personal thing, and I'm not going to put you on the spot for that. But
no, I mean, we're the same way. I mean, I always say part of our success is our honesty that we've built along the way. We've never done kickbacks. It's not our thing. If you bring a client and, you want us to put a credit on account, so when you have your event, have at it. We like taking care of our clients. When you have a personal event, whatever it may be, a personal celebration, we want to give back. We also want to work with you in the long haul, right? I mean, a linen is $35, but if you say, I have a bride's budget in $30, I'll say, okay, well, I work with you all the time. I'm going to do it for $30. It's not black and white, but we have clients who call in all the time and say, my caterer is charging me 15%. And I say, as they should. They're getting there in the morning to check it in. They're staying till 1 a.m. When you're on your honeymoon, if something's missing, you're going to get the call. So yes, there's one thing of highway robbery, but there's another thing of just standard industry fees, and everyone could, charge them differently. But we're very upfront of why someone's charging what they charge. Again, for us, it's always been about the education component of why are you charging what you're charging? Now, if we don't agree with it, go have that talk with them. But when someone calls us to say, I'll say to them, think about it. What's 10% of what they're making? It's just they're sending 3 staff members to set up all your chairs. If you're not paying them, you're going to pay us. So it's all about the education. And I think exactly that. You just be transparent. You're going to pay for the glass through someone. You're going to pay through the linen through someone. Exactly. It's just who wants to take on.
Well, and that's the thing is that, you're going to pay for it sooner or later. That's one thing I tell all my clients. It's like, yes, you may be getting a discount here or there, but I guarantee you somewhere, somebody is going to get paid somehow. So let's just, be straightforward about it. But I do like the fact that, I like the way you just presented that. And I think as a rental company, you got the short end of the stick because of that. Of not having that transparency in our industry over the last, decades or so. People should be really upfront about like, if I order this for you and I am setting it up and I am taking care of it, I'm going to charge you 10% of that total cost. But that is my fee. That is not their fee. That is my fee to do this for you. And that is 100% appropriate, because that is extra and above. And I feel like, just be honest. Don't blame the rental company. It's not the rental company's fault.
Well, and that's what, we try to tell people. I mean, hello, anyone can call Atlas. Anyone could go put in a price quote. We're not hiding anything. If your designer upcharges a chair, by a few dollars, ask the questions, ask why. There's, you'll get the explanation, do your due diligence, but we don't hide our prices. We give our industry discounts. We do what we think is fair. And they are what they are.
Well, and that's the thing, is that's good business. And I also really appreciate the fact that you are a huge community supporter. You have been a sponsor of literally every not-for-profit in South Florida. I mean, every little party or something, Atlas is always there to sponsor and provide these rentals, because you are a good partner to our South Florida community. And I want to say thank you for that, because, there are some other companies in South Florida that I've had some personal, back and forth with, sometimes fairly public, about, the fact that they haven't been 100% upfront. But, Atlas has always been a straight shooter. And that must come a lot from you, because I feel like you are very like, this is it. This is
it.
I also feel like
why is something? This is the price. Why is it a chair more? I always tell people, come to the warehouse and pull the chair, clean it, load it, unload it, bring it back, count it, touch it up. Not making that much money on a chair until you touch that chair. It's like, wait, you're making that much? No, we're not making that much. But
oh my God, don't you love that? I mean, I love that question. When
people forget that, like, just that chair at that price, there's also someone that has to pick up that chair, load that chair, drive it to the venue, unload it, and then do it all over again.
And what about insurance and AC and building costs? I mean, there is a whole bunch of costs that go into chairs. And that's actually part of the education process, I feel like, on a planner side, is that we have to say, well, yes, that may seem expensive for a single chair, but when you have to consider all that it had to go through in order to get to where we are now, there is a lot of cost built into that they have to, and I actually reference pharmaceuticals a lot when I talk about this. I'm like, why do you think drugs are so expensive when they first come out on the market? They have 10 years to recoup what they supposedly spent on that. That's, and then it goes to generic. I said the same thing happens when it comes to, all of this. Somebody had to design it, somebody had to create it, somebody had to build it, then they had to buy it, then they had to bring it in, they had to introduce it to the market because nobody else knew it even existed. So they're educating everybody. They have to spend on the marketing. There's a cost to that. And so
there is, and that's why, I wish, and I hope every day I try to educate my clients of saying, just have the conversation with me, because I know what cost us money, right? So if you're on a tight budget, I'm going to sell you on one type of chair that requires less maintenance than another chair. But if it costs me the same to run A plate versus B plate through the dishwasher, why not upgrade your plate to enhance your look? But if we don't have that conversation and you allow me to do that, then it's like, okay, well, if you just put in, here's for the basic plate, but if we have the conversation of, here's the budget, here's the look, what can you do? Then you're giving me the opportunity to say, oh my goodness, let me show you how we could use this, and this. This is a very low item for me to maintain, so it's easy for me to, build it into your rental. I know it's going to enhance your design. So use your rental, people. Benefits you in the end.
So as I'm going to ask you a question about, what makes Atlas the place to go when it comes to rentals, because there are a lot of rental companies just in general. And it was funny when you first brought up the, you're not walking into a dirty warehouse. And I'm like, well, it's actually not yours, but there are other rental companies that, that's what you walk into. But, what makes Atlas the place to go to?
So beyond, our service and quality are what we've always been known for. Hands down, our customer service. We have phones that are answered 24/7. You call us at 7 a.m, midnight, Art Basel, week 2 a.m, needing glasses. You are going to get someone on the phone, and you cannot get that anywhere. And I think, honestly, besides that, I think we care. I think we care more than most. We care about our equipment. We care about our clients. We care about our reputation. We care a lot. We care about our staff. We care about our employees. We care about being on time. We always say not everyone can be on time. It's easy to be late. And we care about every aspect. It is a hard angle of the event world. I think people sometimes forget how hard it is to maintain the same chair, the same linen, your inventory. No one's going to care about it like you do. It gets left outside. It gets left in the rain. They use it once. It gets into their laundry. But we care a lot. Our showrooms are beautiful. We really consider everyone like family. And, we hope people feel that way. We have drivers that have been with us for over 15 years. And I will tell you, the best feeling is when we get clients who write us on Instagram and Facebook and send emails to say, I just want to let you know, XYZ driver was phenomenal. Your sales girl was phenomenal. We thrive on that. I mean, anyone can rent a white plate. Anyone can rent a Chiavari chair. Anyone can rent a fork. But we really care about what we do. And we hope that people see that when we deliver, when they call, when they come back again and again. We have clients who come to us for small occasions, large occasions, and we treat everyone the same, whether you have a $100 order or a $10,000 order. You never know who they know, what the need is for tomorrow. Yep. And, we hope that shows in our clients and why we've been around as long as we have and growing every day, which is exciting, of course.
So, Heather Rouffe, I just want to say thank you for being on Behind the Veil. We've hit our 46 minutes. Oh my God, like crazy. So we're going to go to a quick commercial break, and then we'll be back for After the Veil. I hope you stay with us.
Perfect. I'll be here.
Yay. Here we go.
More than just entertainment, we understand the importance of the entire wedding day celebration. From the moment you select the date until the day of the celebration, we are there to provide you and your family with the peace of mind you deserve. Mike Sipe Entertainment Events and Productions has been providing entertainment and production nationwide for over 30 years. Our company motto is your day, your way. And our mission is to provide our clients with the most unforgettable entertainment experience while promoting an atmosphere of trust and togetherness. Learn more at themikesipe.com.
Oh, wow. Thank you. And we are so, by the way, so proud of Mike Sipe. He just, again, another community sponsor that is always doing, providing, free stuff for different fundraisers and events. And actually, he just did a great event for us yesterday. So, it's always a pleasure to be able to promote him a little bit. All right. So after the veil, Brooke will be right back. She probably had to go pee. God. Seriously, and she won't mind that I'm calling her out. This is the section we really get to talk about whatever we want and not be very specific about the subject line. One of the things that I'm really experiencing is just an avalanche of new couples, and one of the things I wanted to ask all of you is: do you feel like COVID changed the industry forever, or are we forgetful and are we going back to the way things were, a year and a half ago?
I think that it's going to not be around for a long time. I think that it's going to eventually dissipate and people will go back to having their bigger events. I mean, we do see people without masks, and even though we have they've lifted the mandate here in Florida, it's not everywhere. So some people are still like teetering. Right. And, you're going to see people kind of pushing that envelope, but it's just a matter of time when the floodgates open and the bigger events start coming back.
I have to tell you, 6 months ago, I could have sworn we have seen a change in the industry forever, that, people were going to be much more specific about their guest list, that they were going to be much more specific about like who they really invite. Did they really want, that, dirty Uncle Eddie to come? That's, obviously always creates drama, right? Do they really want to invite that person in order to have the larger wedding? And I could have sworn to you 6 months ago, I would be sitting here today saying, we've seen a real change. That's not the case.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm actually with you on what you just said. Because 6 months ago, I was thinking, okay, this is going to be it for a long time. I don't see it.
No.
I mean, we're seeing my prediction come October, come fall, done, back to normal. Because I've already
Seriously.
spoken to country clubs doing huge grand open, you know, their country club openings. They're already reserving for 300, 400 people. And I actually think that people who normally were doing smaller events, I think they're actually going to do larger events. I think so many people were so spread apart from their families that I think, like, when you think, you know what, should I invite Uncle Ed or should I invite this one? You realize, you know what, like, you don't know what tomorrow brings. Let me invite him. So
Right.
I actually think we're going to be seeing a lot more larger weddings, but we're already having brides reserved for, I invited 200, 180, 300. So I say come
Seriously,
fall.
it is so surprising to
It is
me
surprising.
that it is literally like somebody flipped a light switch. And there's even weddings that I booked that were 60 people that were supposed to be 60 or 75 people. And now they've come back and said, you know, we've changed our mind. We're going to need a bigger ballroom. So
See? Yeah.
we're going to be at 200 people. I'm like, really? You came to me and you were all concerned about like safety and grandma. And well, that was before vaccines, you know? So, and it's not a bad thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. God bless us all that we want more people to celebrate in our joy.
Yeah.
You know, I just thought that, you know, we were going to a kind of experience based event, that it was really important that the individual had a truly unique experience. And now I feel like we're going back to the, you know, the big discotheque with the foam lights and all that stuff. I mean, I just literally booked a CO2
Harvest
cannon.
gold and avocado green appliance.
I mean, I booked a CO2 cannon for a wedding. I'm like,
Really?
really? A CO2 cannon? Okay. You know, I can see I can appreciate it. It's not my taste, but I can appreciate it.
Yeah.
But, you know, I just didn't think we would be going back to that, because if you had tried to book a CO2 cannon, you know, 6 months ago, people are like, oh no, you're spraying what in my face? No, what? No. And now they're like, no, let's party. Let's have a good time.
Everyone's ready to party. Tell you, come fall, done.
Oh my God, you know. Oh,
Done.
seriously. I mean, we're going to go back to the hangover buses. I mean, I don't know. You know, you guys, have you ever done that?
Yes.
Right? You book a hangover bus so that everybody gets, you know, their IV fluids the next day. That's a real thing. I've done
There-
it. Like,
Someone did a wedding just the other day. It was on social media. They were partying till I think it was 4 or 5 in the morning.
oh yeah, yeah,
And,
yeah.
you know,
I mean,
it's happening. People are
It's
ready.
on.
They want to party. It's on.
yeah, and it's not just, and that's the interesting thing is that they want it bigger. They want
Mhm.
more. It's almost like I've been waiting for so long that I want to make this weekend epic. I
Yeah.
want to, you know, from Friday night until Sunday, I want people drunk.
Right? Yes. We'll be renting a lot of shot glasses.
Right? Exactly. Well, I'm going to go back to, you know, the thing about weddings and as event professionals, you know, I always want to make sure that we take care of like the locations that we're in and make sure we take care of the linens that we're in. I mean, when you brought that up, it made me laugh a little bit, because I actually just took some linen back to Over the Top today. And of course, what did I deliver it in? A trash bag. And I was like, God, am I that person? I'm like,
Well,
Oh
I
my
have the
God.
good cheese still, honey. Sorry, but I won't return them. You're say thank you on them, though. I mean, at least that's nice.
that's true. But you know, I mean, the abuse that rentals must take in some of these locations. I mean, do you ever get something back that's so bad that you're like, look, I got to charge you for this? You know, we can't glue this chair back together.
I mean, I would say chairs are probably the least. The things that get the most abuse. I mean, the other day we had a bar that was left on someone's house on the Intercoastal, and it was acrylic top. Just not thinking, you know, why you don't put it back in the box or lay it flat, but boom. And thankfully she was really nice, replaced it, but the whole top cracked. The hard part of Florida, linens are tough, because if you know, sometimes you deliver on a Friday, the event Saturday, you pick up Monday. Well, in Florida, if you don't let them dry or you leave them in your car, they'll mildew. And just some things are harder to get out. You know, chairs you could usually like repaint and wipe down. You know, certain wood furniture, if you leave it out in the rain, like it'll just warp and eat through. I always say, considering how many thousands of items we deliver in a week, it's pretty low, and that's why we offer a damage waiver. But sometimes things come back, and I'm like, Really? I mean, did you have to use that Sharpie to do the onesie right on the white linen? Like, you couldn't have used the cardboard.
Right. Oh my goodness. I mean, it's
Oh
just
my
it's just crazy. I mean, I find myself, and especially because we're in the event industry, I find myself not wanting to go to events. Are you, because I mean,
Oh.
Heather, you're involved in the event industry hardcore. I mean, do you find that you get an invitation in the mail that it's to a gala and you're like, no?
I give it all away. My friends are like sending me pictures and they're like, why didn't you want to come? I said, why? Because I was on the phone till 6 o'clock at night and I am home with my kids in my pajamas. You have fun, but no, when you do this all day, getting dressed and sitting through an event, I mean, you want to support, it is fun, but no, sometimes, especially in season, you all know how it is. We're barely functioning at the end of the day. The last thing we want to do is get dressed and go to a gala or an event.
Right. And I always feel bad because when I turn it down, I'm always like, I'm really sorry. And, we're doing weddings every weekend until 2 a.m, 3 a.m. We're
Right.
dragging our bets home. Sometimes we're driving an hour and a half because like if we're at like Redlands Koi, I mean, we still have to drive home.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And then they're like, oh, but join us for Sunday brunch. I'm like, no.
I give my sales girls, they love it. I'll send out an email and say, we have 6 tickets to this event or 4 tickets to this. So they have fun, go take pictures, but no.
I do the same thing. I give my tickets away to other people because I'm like, no, I sponsored this. So,
Right.
Here, please go on my stead. So it's like, oh my God. What is kind of the one thing that you really wish our South Florida community would be better at in the event world? What is kind of the thing that you feel like, for me, it's communication.
Mm-hmm.
I wish people would write an email. Just reach out, give me a call. You don't get into this fear mongering of, oh, he's going to try to take my client. I'm like, first of all, I don't want your client.
Right.
Don't want it. But, but I do want you to ask for advice or to get some direction. What is kind of the one thing that you really wish that our South Florida community would get better at?
I mean, I think it's just working together more. That's always been my big thing of just, people having this like, I only work with XYZ. And I'm like, well, one day that one company won't always have what you need. So my whole thing is just make relationships with different companies. It doesn't mean that you have to use them all the time. And I respect loyal clients. I respect people using our competitors. But I also, if someone has something that I need, I want them to be able to come in and be like, listen, this company doesn't have it. I saw it on your website and can you help me out? And so many times they don't do that. They're scared to call me because they know that they don't use me or whatever it may be. But my whole thing, just be friends with everyone, be respectful. Again, if I can't be a part of that event, maybe I could help you with a component or my advice. And I just think it's so, I only work with these vendors. I only do this. I only get my linens from them. And I'm like, okay, well, that's great. I appreciate it. I'm so glad that you're loyal. But if one day you need that one avocado napkin and they don't have it, call me. I'll give you the
avocado napkin. Well, and it's so weird because we were just talking about how our South Florida community does really support each other. Mm-hmm. And I feel like we've got this kind of 50-50 relationship. Yeah. It's either we're all in and that we're all going to make sure we take care of each other, or we do have those like unique relationships and you're like, oh, I only can work with one person. I'm like, why would you only work with one person? Why would you limit yourself as far as the creativity,
Well, this season, whether people want to admit it or not, everything is delayed, right? So any company, florist, rental company, you name it, stuff is going to be stuck overseas or you're not going to get in your shipment on time and you're going to need another company to rely on.
Yep.
So I think if you're not friends with people now, you're shooting yourself in the foot because we are all at some point going to have to say, I don't have it. I ordered it. It didn't come in. This is the options. I could call this company for you. I'm giving you a heads up now. That one linen never arrived. It arrived in the wrong color. So we are going to need each other more this season than ever before. So if you don't make friends now, I just think we're all shooting ourselves in the foot for a few months to come.
I agree completely. Marcy, you were going to say something?
Yes, I wanted to find out from each of you in your areas. The difference between a trend and a fad is that a fad is here fast and furious. A trend is kind of trickled out over time. What do you see as far as pull out your crystal ball and think about with these companies not being able to ship into our country, how is that affecting each of your areas as far as down the road?
Yeah,
Not
are we
now,
going?
but in 6 months.
Yeah.
Are we going back to a classic style? Because and I feel like trends. I mean, boho chic. Everybody country chic. Oh, by the way, and I feel like there are a million different trends out there. I know. What is kind of the big thing, and what is what is, by the way, something that is a flash in the pan that you think is a flash in the pan that you're like, okay, maybe not the hot pink crystal chairs for this particular event.
It's so funny because I always say, well, we think as a fad, like it just never goes away. We really hold on to our inventory for a long time. It takes a lot for me to be able to part with something. I think it's just really finding new ways to use it. I mean, I look years ago, right? Like everyone wanted that, the rustic chic, right? It was like the wood tables, the wood chair. I mean, everything was like wood. So instead of calling it that, people are still using the crossback chairs more than ever, but maybe now we're putting it with more of like a linen or a different table or mixing it with modern. So I think it's just mixing styles. I mean, fad. To me, a fad was like years ago when it was like chocolate brown and pink and chocolate brown and blue. I mean, you don't see that anymore. But I feel like over the last few years, a lot of the pieces are still being used. Maybe, there's some new gold flower, gold flower is huge. Well, now it's like golden pink and golden black and golden white and some newer pieces. But I mean, when you call now a week before the wedding and want a clear ghost chair and there's none left, you might be taking that clear chivalry, whether you like it or not. So it's like,
I have to tell you, I know I am a huge fan of the clear chivalry chair. I'm not a huge fan of the ghost chair. But that's a personal thing. That's not my clients. Their taste is not my taste. But I think that's important for all of us, is that, don't get caught up in what a fad or a trend is. Just do good styling, So guys, that's our hour. I want to say thank you to Heather Rouffe. Thank you so much for being part of today's show. I hope you enjoyed it.
I did. Thank you so much for having me.
It went by really, really quick. And then, of course, always thank you to Marcy Gutenberg with An Affair to Remember by Marcy and the always gorgeous Brooke Logan Stoner. We will see you next Tuesday at 2 o'clock right here. And so everybody say goodbye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.